Hey everyone, testing this out. I'm going to do some live streams as I build a SaaS. If you don't know what a SaaS is, it's a software as a service. So it's just an app that provides users with some sort of tool or utility or a useful feature or pretty much anything nowadays people call a SaaS. As long as it does something and you can sell it and put it online. So without further ado, I myself use trusty VS Code. As you can see here, you can use any code editor, anything you're familiar with or anything you want to use or any tutorials you've watched. VS Code's the most popular one. I've been using it for years, so I'm going to stick to it. Um, so I'm just getting this all set up. Okay. I'm going to put you guys on my phone so I can see what's going on here. Just bear with me. If it lets me. Doesn't look like it is. Nice. Oh, whatever. Let's see if I can get this to sticky on top. Probably not. Lovely. Let's just do it this way then. Okay. I'm going to go over somewhat basic stuff, but I'm not going to explain too much about the basics, just kind of go through what I do and whatnot, but you can just follow along. All that fun stuff. But anyways, I've got a blank VS Code. I'm going to make an application that generates recipes for users based on ingredients they put. Like I'll make a pantry and stuff for them. They can put in stuff they have. And hey, morning. Thanks for watching and joining. If you want to make an app, you can follow along if you know what you're doing. Anyways, I've got a blank VS Code here. To start a Next application, all you need to do, go to wherever you want to where you want to create it. You just go. Um, I use PNPM. I know there's NPM, which is a lot of tutorials and people just use that, but personally, I use PNPM. It works a lot better. It's a lot less um, error prone. Handles things a lot better than just NPM. But anyways, I use PNPM. Create next app at latest. It's going to do some stuff. I'll give it a name. I'm going to call this application Tiny Chef. Don't ask why. I've already asked my trusty assistant for a name and it gave me that. Or we picked that. You can just accept all the defaults. It's just asking about Tailwind, TurboPack, App Router. Um, I always just use the default settings. You can just keep it like that. So it's going to install itself. I'm going to cd into the directory. I did say to install a few extra packages. I just do it just so it doesn't give any problems, and it seems to want it in the end anyways, but anyways. So that's that. So we can clear that to make it look better. So we have our basic Next application. You can run it by just running pnpm dev. It will start it. You got a website address here. Let's go to a browser. We'll just go to localhost. And we have it here. So we have Next. So this is just your basic Next app. So what we can do, hey there, I'm making it's an application that people can put in recipes, or not recipes, ingredients that they have in the kitchen, and it will generate like a recipe based on that. And you can save it and have a pantry and all that stuff. It's a little basic, but I'm gonna just show um, mainly the Vercel AI SDK and how to use Supabase and all that stuff and just tie it in together. And just the basic way of how I go about it and when I build a SaaS. Um, so as a side note too, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. Well, I think it was 9 years, I want to say, with Next. Um, so I've been doing this for quite a while. Just been getting familiar with all the nuances of Next.js, and then Supabase I've been using for the last few years. I was originally using Firebase and Google stuff, but then moved over to Supabase, and yeah. Um, lately though, and I'm gonna do it with this app, I've been using a lot of um, not like ChatGPT stuff, but V0, especially I've been using just to help design stuff. Um, oh, nice. I'm 40. I'm in my early 40s, let's say, very early 40s, but I do this as like a hobby, like a side gig sort of thing. I have a full-time job and I do this for fun. I've been programming for the last 25 years. Actually, just over 25 years now. It's almost 2026. Been doing it since like 1999. Um, used to build like just basic websites and whatnot, and have been doing React and Next.js stuff for the last almost 10 years now. Um, it's a lot of fun. I like it. Um, but anyways, what I'm gonna do, I already took it upon myself. I did a bit of work just ahead. I went on to V0. I just did a mock-up of an app. I'll show you here. So it already did a interesting, but anyways, I guess it changed the color on me. But I told V0 to pull up, oh, hang on. I told it to do an app, prompted it, it pulled up this landing page. So I'm basically just going to quickly move this landing page over for the app and like make it live essentially and useful. Um, so I have some code here. I'm just going to close this all down. So what I'm going to do, thankfully now V0 works with, or not works with, it's compatible with um, Tailwind 4. So you can take the color codes here now and just literally just copy and paste it now into your application. So I'm just going to take the colors. You want root and dark. Dark's not necessary, but if you want to later add dark mode or anything, you can put that in, or if people force dark mode, it's there. V0, I prompted it to give it the colors and everything, so it's all there. So I'm just going to go back into here, into globals. So you see here we're just taking globals into our globals. And I forgot to do one thing really quick. Actually, and that's why this is like this. This looks completely different right now, and this is a good example, but I'm going to just shut this down. V0 heavily relies on shad CN, which is the, I guess they call it A design, yeah, design system. That's what it is. It's basically just a really basic design system for Next.js. So there's a million components that you can put in. You can configure it however you want. It's very customizable and just makes it a lot easier and standard to put components into your project without having to do it from scratch. There's a million different ones you can use. Probably too many to even begin to list, but this is the most common, and these guys seem to sleep together with code and stuff, so they're heavily influenced in V0. So as you can see, it's using shad CN code and components already, so it's best to just keep it simple and just use what they're using. So we have to install that really quick. So I'm going to run it here on another terminal, pnpm dlx. Oh yeah, shad cn. I always do the at latest just so it grabs the latest. And then I'm going to run init. Just hit, you can just go by the defaults, and then as you can see, it already now just adds the codes, and you can start adding components with that command line utility. So I'm going to, at the very least, it's the same command, but instead of init, you just write add, and then the component, whatever here. So I'm going to add button, let it go, so that's in. So I am just going to make sure I copied that. So I'm going to go in the root and dark, paste that in, save it. So that's in there. So we're good. I'm just going to run this again. I don't think it's going to do much yet. No. Or, oh yeah, it went. So because I don't have it set, it just went back to light mode. My computer's set to dark mode right now, so the default Next app would follow those rules, so it went dark immediately. But now we put shad cn on, there's no telling it what mode it's in, so it just defaults to light. So we don't have to worry about that anyways. We're not really going to use dark mode with this. So I'm going to go back to V0. So there is a page right now. So what it did was it basically took this landing page and it turned it into 8 different components. So they're going to be under the components folder, and then as you can see, they're all right here. So what we're going to do, we're basically just going to take the code for now from each component and just copy it over. So header, or what we'll do, I'll just basically take this code here, and then I'm going to go to page. So this page is what you see here, just this page here. I'm going to just take the code from the inside here, and just so you can see what I mean. So right now it's a blank page, and this is just basic HTML. So I'll just write hello world, save it, and then you can see hello world up here. That's literally all that file is. So I'm going to paste in, save, and then as you can see down here, it's freaking out, and this is going to freak out saying it's not defined. It can't find basically any of these components right now because we didn't add it in. So what we can do is I'm going to go to the first one, header, and then I'm just literally going to make a new file called header.tsx and paste it right in. So as you can see, I've already added button. So it's not complaining about that. Otherwise, it would have been complaining that it can't find button. And if we didn't install shad cn, it would have complained about the chef hat because Lucid React is part, well, not part of shad cn, but it installs it when you install it. So this one's good. We'll have to tweak this code anyways afterwards, but I'm just going to add it in so we can get the page to work. So now if you go to the code here, you go to header, There's a trick. If you hold Control and press space, it will bring up a little menu where it tries to find that component for you. So it did find the component right up top. You can see components header. At is just the root folder. So components header, you just click it or hit enter, and now you see the error went away for that. It added it as a dependency up top. So we'll do the same thing now. Hero. Let's go to hero. We'll make a new one. Hero. Same thing. We don't have to worry about the code yet. We'll just close these. So same thing. Control space. Enter. Features. We'll just copy this. So you see now this is complaining because there's a component that's missing, a card component. This is a shad one, so we can just go back here, do add card, give it a sec. Once that's done, in a few seconds you'll see this go away, which it did. So we'll save it. Close these two. Features, control space again, enter. So that's done. So go how it works. Copy this. How was that named? Okay, how it works. Paste it in. This one's good. There's no components in this one, so we'll save it. Close, control space again, enter, done. Go to pricing. Okay, this one looks good. There's no errors. You can also look on the right hand side. You'll see this is basically the whole highlight of your code, or like an overview. Um, you can see if there's red, like it'll kind of highlight errors and everything in the code, and even show it in the scroll bar. But you can see there's nothing here, so we can close it. Go back, control space it, enter. So now testimonials. Paste that in, we're good. Control space it. And then we got the call to action CTA. We'll go here. So here's using the button again. Saved it. We'll close these. CTA. And then last but not least, footer. Okay, so footer done. We'll save these. So now control space. So now this page, we'll get rid of that for now. We don't need that. So this is done. So now we'll save this. Now, as you can see, we get no more errors, other than like there's a few pictures missing, but that's okay. We'll go back to the page, and as you can see now, it already refreshed, and we've got the landing page here done. Well, on. It's not finished or anything, but should somewhat work. Yeah, you can see it's kind of working already. So that's good. And it's already mobile responsive. We don't even have to worry about this, which is awesome. V0 is really good with that. So as you can see, it's already ready to go. It's like fully responsive, which is awesome. Tailwind does a pretty good job at doing that. So now what we can do, um, I'm going to leave the code the way it is for now. We'll have to change quite a bit of it because it's not really optimized for Next. Um, even though V0 does a good job at building this and doing doing the code and everything, it's it's not fully optimized. So a few components, like if you look header, it's just using regular A anchors where technically it could use the link component. So for some reason it's not, even though it's built by Vercel and it's like a Next application, it's not really using native Next components. So this will have to get changed. Same thing with the footer, I bet. Yeah, I see like A tags and that. It's not it's not optimized fully, so there's a few things we'll need to do. Plus, they manually put components in, like in the header. Um, where is it? Yeah, like the header and footer use like this can be a component on itself here for like a logo, and just reuse that. It's doing it manually, so like in here is the same thing. So just little things like that can be or should be tweaked when you make this live or before it goes live. Otherwise, it's not going to run really well or as optimized. So um, what we'll do, um, I already went ahead before I gave it some prompting for doing a dashboard. So if you look in here, there's already a whole dashboard folder. Actually, you know what? Even before we go in there, because we'll just keep it simple or just do the easy parts first. There's a sign-in page here. We'll just put that in right away for now. And see, so something like this as well will have to get changed. Um, I'm gonna instead of leaving this leaving this as a page, I'll show you the way V0 tried to do it. But here there's going to be a sign in page or folder with a page.tsx inside. So I'm literally just copying and pasting the code that it gave. And as you can see, we're missing two components, the input and a label component. So we're just going to add that with the same add command. So for label and input, done. So that will go away. So now if we go to sign in, yeah, so as you can see, that's this page here. But we're going to need to change this a little bit. Um, so instead of leaving this as the actual page, I'm going to just take this whole code and basically even just this whole page and make it into a component. So under the components folder, I'm just going to write, actually, I can just paste it. So I'm going to paste it in as page, hit F2 to rename it. I'm going to call it sign in form. So here I'm going to change the sign in page to sign in form, save it. I'm going to go back to the sign in page. So we can basically literally just delete all this code now. If you have it, I didn't really go into setting up VS Code, but I have a plugin or an extension here called, wait, oh, can you make this bigger, please? There we go. ES7 React, Redux, React Native snippets. It just lets you write shorthand code. So instead of having to go in and type a whole blank component here or a page, I can just type in RAFCE and it will hit enter. It's going to just put in the what do you call it? Like an empty code for a page for a React component or a React page, I guess. And in the end, it's the same thing, a page or component. But the code is pretty much the same. So here, the only thing I have to do is make this a capital page. So we can save it. And then if you go back to the page now, it's going to say page because that's all we have in here. But now if we take this div, we delete it, we can go sign in form. So as you can see, it sees that component, add that in there, save it, and we're basically back to where we were as if nothing changed. But now what we can do is we can add conditions on this page. So in the near future, we're going to change this. So it's going to check if the user's already signed in. And if they are, it's not even going to get this far to the page. It's going to kick them to the dashboard because we don't want them, or there's no reason for them to be signing in again because they're already signed in. So we're going to leave that for now. We'll get back to this in a second. I just want to put the pages into place for now, and then we'll work around it. So we have a pricing page. This will be pretty straightforward. But what we can do, Go back here. Oh, and actually what we need to do first, so we have the landing page right now. The landing page, as you can see, oh yeah, it's gonna break because I changed stuff on it. So I just had to refresh it there. The few pages all share this header, the header bar. And it is a component right now, like it is a separate component, but the page, like each page right now is going to be using it um, inside each page. So it's kind of a little redundant that way. So what we can do is instead of including it into every page, I will take it out here. So I'm going to remove this. So now you see it's just gone. And instead of leaving it in there, what I'm going to do, we'll have to kind of change this structure a little bit. In the app folder, I'm going to make a new folder in brackets. I'm going to call it landing. And I'll explain this in a minute if you don't know what this does. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this page, or like actually cut and paste it. I'll say always here. But I'm going to hang on one sec, I'm just getting messages. I can remove this. So what this is going to do is it's going to let me group some pages together, and it's going to keep the same layout without changing the actual location or the the location of the actual file or the route. So I moved this page under landing. I'm going to go refresh it and it should do absolutely nothing. See, there's no change. But what it's going to do is now I can take this layout. I'm going to just temporarily copy this exact one. It's going to start freaking out because all this code is not needed. I'm just going to go, just for right now, this is like a basic, very empty layout. Basically, refresh again and nothing happened again, which is what we want, essentially, because I didn't really do anything. I'm just moving stuff around without changing anything really functionally yet. I'm just getting it ready for what I'm going to show you in a sec. So now what I can do is I'm going to go get that pricing code. Hang on one second. I'm just trying to check something. Okay. So I'm going to get this pricing page. So instead of just putting it right in the main routes, under landing, I'm going to go pricing, and I'm going to make a new page. I'm going to paste it here. Okay, I'm going to save it. So now what I can do is technically now go to pricing. So as you can see, even though it's under this landing folder, you would think, well, typically without knowing the brackets here, you would think you'd have to go to landing and then pricing. But that's not going to work because any folder that you put in brackets, it's going to ignore it. But it keeps it grouped. So now what I can do, and actually, so the pricing page right now, as you can see, still has a header because it's going to be up at the top here, right here. So I'm going to delete that, and actually footer as well. I'm going to take out the header and the footer. So now you see it's gone at the top and bottom. Awesome. So now what we can technically do is with this layout page, so children is just anything any page now, it's going to basically fill into this part of the file. So before it, what we can do is just simply go header. So we'll add the header component in, save it, and look, now we have the header. But now, not only does it just stay in pricing, but now it's on the main page as well. So instead of having to go and add it into every single page now for the landing page, it's just automatically going to be there because we have it under this landing folder. I forget the proper term that they use for it, but it's just like a grouped folder essentially, and it ignores the routing for it. So this here is still the main page. It's just now grouped with whatever now we put in here. So now we can add more pages. We don't have to worry about a header. And actually, we'll do it for the footer as well. So footer. So now go to the bottom and oh, see there's two footers right now because we forgot to remove it out of here. Done. So there. Now I got one footer. So that's that part. That's pretty simple. So now we don't have to worry about that anymore. So the pricing is here. We have a header, sticky header, which is pretty sweet, footer, and we're good there. Okay, so that's in. So now there is a demo page I guess it made. We can just throw that in quick. I bet it's probably going to have, see, so it has a header as well. We'll just have to take that out. We'll go in the same landing folder. We'll go demo page.tsx. We'll paste that in. It's complaining about a badge component now. We can just add badge. And we'll save it. And then that's already in. So now same thing. We can, oh, actually, we'll delete the header. And then the footer. Just take the dependencies out. Save it. We'll go here to demo. Done. So I already did a demo here as well. I don't know how well this, we'll probably have to change this because I didn't even look at how this even works. We probably don't want to do it this way, but it's in. Actually, let's see. This is all going to be mocked anyways. Yeah, it doesn't really work because it's just V0. V0 is good for doing the design of things, but I don't have it do any functionality because it doesn't really work that well, or I don't really trust it as much. Um, I like controlling that part more than the design. I'm not a huge fan of designing things. I'd rather it just show me a design and I'll just go by that or tweak it however I need to. Like this is a really good start. Um, so anyways, so we already now have a working landing page. We'll have to add a pricing link here. Basically, the next part is wiring up the sign-in so people can start signing in, and then add the Supabase onto it now so we can actually start doing things and have a database with sign-in and all that stuff. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we'll just have to quickly fix up the header really quick just so it's working properly. But as you can see here right now, it's not working the best. Like as I said, the A links. Hang on. Yeah, the link. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna be a tiny chef after this. I'm gonna make a tiny chef. Um, but what we need to do is just switch these to a link component. So Next has a optimized link component. If we leave these as just regular A tags, it's going to refresh the whole page, do a whole render. It's slower. It's not optimized. It doesn't follow um, proper Next like um, functionality. So all we need to do is just change this to a link. Then as you can see here, we need this next dash link, not an icon. So we can just hit enter, change the A tag to a closing link. So that's basically all you really need to do for that. See, we can just save it and it does absolutely nothing. It looks like it didn't do anything, but under the hood it does. It will operate differently. The only other thing we need to do is technically change or add a forward slash here, because if we're on other pages now and if we left it like that, it would just try to keep it on the same page. These are anchor tags. The pound or like hash symbol means it's just going to link to another spot on the page that has that ID. So I'll show you after, but we need to basically just add a forward slash to these because it's going to go to the root page and then that tag. So we just need to change these to link. Actually, I will just copy and paste it. Done. So now as you can see, we're here. So what it does is, so say we're on the pricing page. Now if we just click on this, it goes back to the main page. Whereas if we left it there, it would have just tried to go find how it works on the pricing page. That's what it is. So that's done. We have the sign in and the get started button here. What we're going to do, we need to change the sign in so it's a link. There's two ways people usually have seen do it, is they'll just wrap this button in a link component like so with the sign in link. So as you can see here, you click it, it goes to sign in, which works. But for maybe I guess my OCD, or I don't like wrapping things into things when they don't need to. It just looks ugly, and I'm sure there's a rule against that, or people don't like that as much. But what we can do is, and I've seen this in the documentation, I forget where, I think on Next JS, is we can, or no, I think it was Shad CN. But we can, instead of having it as a button component, there is actually a class that we can set. So we'll change this. Instead of having it wrapped, we'll just change this button component to a link component. So we'll leave this here. This is going to give an error because this variant is not a option in a link component. But what we can do, actually we'll need to remove this because this is responsive code for the button, but we want to, we're going to change this a little bit. I'm going to add that here. It's going to tweak that a little bit. Don't mind me here. I'm just doing a few changes. If you don't get what I'm doing here, you'll just need to brush up on React and stuff. This is just formatting for React and JSX, or TypeScript, whatever. But anyways, there is a class name you can use that will take, well, so for example, I'll just put this in here. I'll change this back just so there's no error yet, or actually, thanks for the love there. I hope you're learning lots with this. But anyways, here, so what I'm going to do, I change this to a link. I'm going to save it. But as you can see here, it's not a button anymore. It's just a text link, which works, but it's going to be ugly. Like if we change, we can change this get started now to the same thing. We'll go link. Let's just call this dashboard for now. We'll leave this. I think that will look, see how it's, even though we have the same code here for the button or the styling, it's not a button anymore. It doesn't have the same style as a button. So these two now are just text. So what we can do as a workaround is there is a class called button variants. So shadcn, as part of the button component, they made a class name called button variants, or it's really a function. But what you can do is give it the variables and the parameters for the button component through a class name. So just as well, we'll just follow the, it already knew that was in here. So the variant that was here originally, we can pass it in here now, and we'll save it. And now you see it went back to a normal button. So that's what we wanted. So this just basically is the same thing as before, but now there's no nested component, there's no button within a link, and so forth. It just stays as a single component, which looks nicer, it's cleaner, it's probably more proper this way. So we'll do the same thing with this one, but since there's already a design, like a style for this, I'm just going to cut this for right now. Add the curly braces for JSX. We'll add the button variants. We're not passing anything. If you don't pass anything into it, it just keeps as a default button. But what we can do before actually we do that, there's another function we need to just wrap it in called CN. Um, Basically, the Coles Notes version of this will just take all the classes that we pass and the styles into it and merges it all together, so it gets rid of classes it doesn't need. It just keeps it a lot cleaner and optimized. It's for optimization really. So we can now just put the button variants in here just as normal, and then we can add a comma and then the classes that we had originally. So it's literally, it just takes an array of inputs. So we're basically just giving it, as you can see, it's already got everything in here for buttons. And it's basically the CN's gonna take button variants and then all of this code, smush it all together and get rid of the codes and styles that it doesn't need to send. And it just only sends what it really needs to actually render what we're trying to get it to render. So we'll save that. And now as you can see, it went back to a button as if we didn't do anything at all, but now it has a link. So that's what we wanted to do. So now that works. So we can click sign in, it's there, it works. So that part's good. So now what I just want to do quickly, I'm just going to add a pricing. Let's go here. We'll just add a pricing link. Oops, if I can spell right. We can link this to either the actual page or the component because we have a or not component but section in the landing page. I'm just going to leave it like that for now, but as you can see there's pricing here and we're there. Okay. Oh, and then one other thing I want to do just quickly, this is more just for preference, but I like to make it a little nicer. But one really easy thing you can do here, if you go to the main layout page, under the HTML tag, you can add a class called smooth scroll. If we save that, now if we go and click on one of these links, I lied, I think I have to refresh it, hang on. Hang on, I have to like force refresh it. No, I think there's a bug with this. Let's start this again. No, hang on. Oh, my dyslexia had it the wrong way. So it's scroll smooth, not smooth scroll. Anyways, we'll save that. So now if we click on features, you see it actually, instead of just jumping straight to it, it will actually smoothly scroll to it. It just makes it look nicer. So there's that. Okay, so okay, let's see. So now we basically have more functionality in there, which is nice. We'll worry about the landing page buttons and pictures and all this stuff later and linking these all together. But we have a sign-in page now. We can add the dashboard now. So I'm just going to add it in the way it is right now. We'll have to change it. Maybe not too much. I don't even know what this did with the component. I kind of gave it some structure of what it should do, but we might have to tweak it based on functionality and everything. So what we're going to do, so under app, we have landing. Since this is going to be a completely different layout, what I'm going to do is make a folder now outside called dashboard. We don't have to put this in brackets because we actually want to use this as a route. So go dashboard, page.tsx, and just paste this in. And then we'll go to the top. We can see it's missing two components, an alert from shadcn and a dashboard layout, which is not part of shad, but it's one that v0 generated. So firstly, we'll just go add alert, and then we'll go here. There should probably be a dashboard layout, which is right here. So go here. We'll just make a new component called dashboard layout.tsx, paste that in. It's complaining about something else, an avatar component. Add that in. Done. Okay, so we'll save that. Oh, it already found the component. We didn't even have to change anything with that. Okay, so we'll save it. So now if we go to dashboard, there should be this here. Oh, nice. It made like a whole... So I haven't really seen what this made yet, but that's pretty cool. Oh, oh, and there's even like a photo things and everything, and a photo input and everything. That's pretty cool. Okay, so these are probably pages that it's going to go to, and see if we go to it, it's broke. Like the page doesn't exist yet, so that's okay. Um, so what we can do, we'll have to tweak this a little bit because I bet this probably isn't going to be optimized. Where like, I think, I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay, I guess it did a different approach. It's kind of cool. Actually, I might want to leave it that way. So for mobile and that, it put like an actual navigation bar at the bottom, which is pretty cool. Oh, and it still did. It actually added a sliding menu as well. That's actually okay. That's kind of cool. So we can actually leave it like that. That's pretty sweet, actually. Not gonna lie. Okay. This N icon is kind of annoying sometimes. I don't really need it most of the times, but I'm just gonna hide it for right now. That's not part of the app or anything. It's just for development with Next.js. But okay, so what we'll do, we're gonna add these pages in really quick because it did make it with V0. So there's pantry. Let's see what it's complaining about. It's complaining about dialogue and then select. So if we look here, we'll just add them now. Settings. So complaining about switch. Add that in. And then upgrade. Okay, so we have the pages in now already. That was pretty easy. Okay. So now technically if we go to pantry, see these pages work now, which is pretty cool. Oh, see, and look, that's what so we actually didn't even have to do anything with dark mode. I guess it put it, they added it as a setting or like a preference setting to add a feature. Um, so we don't even have to worry about that. That's done now. Um, so anyways, dashboard's pretty much done now. That's pretty cool. It already did pricing. See, this V0 is actually pretty sweet. It makes pages and everything pretty nice, and not even just like basic or boring. Like it actually is pretty nice. Like I definitely wouldn't be able to do this. I'm pretty design challenged, so. And I think too, like now we'll just look in a phone view, but as you can see, it's like very responsive. So we don't even have to do anything really in terms of, oh, yeah, we'll have to tweak it a little bit. See, it's a little broken. It didn't take into account the bar at the bottom, so you can't even see the logout button and stuff. That's okay though. That's pretty easy to fix. But um, so now what we can technically do is we can actually add the backend now. This is basically the whole UI and the UX. So we've got the whole layout done. That was super easy. If I was doing this now without having to explain it or anything, it takes maybe 10 minutes between just spitting in a prompt to V0 and then just tweaking it like as I did on here, just copying it. And that's how easy it is to get this up and running. Um, so now the cool thing with Supabase is it's just as easy, basically, to add a whole backend system now with Postgres, authentication, security, everything. It's just as easy, honestly, with Supabase. I haven't found another backend system. I mean, aside from Firebase, but I don't like it as much, and it's NoSQL. I prefer SQL now. After using the two, I prefer SQL and Postgres. Um, it just seems more secure. I don't know. I just like it. I guess it's a preference thing, but I prefer it more now. But basically, there is a guide that you can follow from Supabase, which shows you how to. Um, I'll show you here. It will install Supabase to your Next.js application. There are 1.5 million different guides and videos and stuff you can watch, but if you follow this, you can get it up in 2 minutes. Um, I don't have to use this anymore. Like it's just installing a couple packages and putting in two variables and a few components, and then you're up and running and it's done. Um, so what we'll do, I'll just follow this really quick. But basically, we just need to take these two packages, the Supabase, the JavaScript component or package, and then SSR, which is the server-side rendering package. Um, since it's using npm, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to just take the two package names, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to go pnpm add, paste those two in, enter. And what we will need to do, I've noticed when we start adding this in, don't do it while the server's running or when you're running a development server. It just doesn't like it. It's not that it's a bug or anything, it's just we're doing a major change to the structure of the app. It doesn't like it. It starts freaking out and stuff. So stop that, added the components. We're going to go in here and make a .env.local so we can store our secrets here that are just local. We're going to go down here. So the next step, it's basically saying make that file we just made. We're going to copy in this example here. So we're going to delete this because these are placeholders. I like putting the keys, like values in quotes. You don't have to, but I like it. So it already gave me the values here. I already created a project um, called Tiny Chef in Supabase. So I'm going to just take the first value here, pop it in, get the second one, pop it in. Okay, save. So we have those two in there. I'm going to restart the server. We'll just load this again to make sure it's running, which it is. Okay. So now we can just continue on. So basically, um, the way Supabase works, and there's depending on how you use the backend, you can always, because there's client and server components, we'll have to keep bits separate. There's different ways to access Supabase, based on if it's on the client or the server side. So we just need two components now to access Supabase. So we'll have a client here, which is literally just this simple function. So we'll go back to the code. In here, it says to add it to a utils folder. Um, I don't keep it that same way because I try not to add too many folders in my project. Um, they already did. ShadCN created a folder called lib, so I'm just gonna put it under there. It's up to you where you put it, but just know where it is. That's all. So I'm gonna make a folder called Supabase, and then a file called client.ts, which is just a standard. It's not a JSX file. It's not fancy for one. You can call it TSX, but it doesn't take advantage of any JSX functions or anything. So we can just leave it TS. We'll close. Oh, what the other thing I do is I'm not a huge fan of it, but as you can see here, they leave both the client and server called create client, and you just have to see which one you add. But what I do just to make it even simpler or less stupid prone is I change this create client to Supabase client. So I'll save that. And then I will make another file here called server.ts. And then I'm going to copy this here, paste it. And then instead of this create client, I'm going to call it Supabase server. So now we're going to have a Supabase client and a Supabase server. I just like leaving it that way just so I don't have to think too much about it. Okay, so next is setting up middleware. And what middleware is, just to Cole's notes, is it will run whatever you have in this file, middleware, every time the page is like anytime you go to a page or in between and a request. So anytime you access something different or it hits the server or tries to do something, it's going to run this code and change the way you actually access that page. It could be anything. You can change where it goes, anything really. I'm sure it says here, but oh yeah, middleware is responsible for refreshing auth tokens, passing tokens. Um, well, that's what this middleware is responsible for, but you can do it for anything like logging, checking if they're allowed, seeing if they're banned, anything, redirecting them based on their location, getting their IP address, all sorts of stuff. So in this example, or for what we're needing it for, is it's basically going to be checking the authorization token, um, and then also passing tokens using SSR fancy stuff so it doesn't create more traffic and um, um, network activity and whatnot, and it just does it all through middleware. So you could just have this in one file, but they wanted it refactored. So I'm going to take this code here, this middleware.ts. I'm going to make a file here called middleware.ts, paste it. Technically, we can change this function here. It's just making another server client, but we're going to just leave this. Um, and that's it. We can just save this. One thing, so what's going to happen is it's basically going to see if there's a user signed in or if it has a user. And then if there's no user, you're not trying to go to a page that's login, auth, or error. It's basically going to try to kick you back to a login page. So if you're not signed in and you're not trying to sign in or you're not hitting an error, it's just going to make you try to sign in to the whole program to this login page. Um, what I normally do is we can technically um, there's a million different ways to do it, but what I normally do is I'll just comment this out for now. And technically, lately I've noticed we don't need to use this get user. You can leave this the way it is and it's not going to make any difference to you. But I've noticed lately, and this is kind of like a little bit of a hack or a speed up, I guess, hack. But we can take this out here, change this to get claims. Um, and what will happen is instead of it, so basically this get user will, and it even says, um, it gets you the current user if there's a session. Then it says this method performs a network request to the auth server. So every time a page gets accessed, it's adding basically an extra amount of time and bandwidth and resources to actually authenticate the user again. Um, it's good for security and everything, but there is another function you can run, which is get claims, and that basically it even says here. So it does the same thing, but in a different way, where it will actually check itself first to see if there's already a token saved, which is cached, which even says here, resulting in significantly faster responses. So it even says prefer this method over get user, which always sends a request to the server. Um, so yeah, then even it's basically saying if you use encryption and um, like a key and stuff, which we don't. Yeah, it's just going to make things quicker. So we'll just switch this to get claims. We'll save this. And like I said, you can leave it this just in the example code, and it'll do the same thing. It's just you might get more bandwidth usage in that. So we'll take this middleware code and just write in the root folder of everything. We'll make a file called middleware.ts and just paste that in. And since this is looking under the utils folder, we just need to change this to lib, and the error goes away. So we can just save that. And then now, as you can see, when it tried to load a page, it's now loading middleware in between. So now if we go back to this page, it makes no difference. But now Supabase is already hooked up. So now we have Supabase connected to the app. Um, and now we can go and just confirm. So one thing we can do now, let's just use the dashboard page. Actually, no, we can't because it's a client component. Well, we can, but I try not to do Supabase stuff in client components or too much. But where's the landing page? So just as an example, so now if we want to access Supabase, we can just go const Supabase equals await Supabase server, because this is a server component. We have to make this async because all Supabase functions are async. So now that we have Supabase loaded here, we can just go const. We'll just put this in curly brackets first, or we'll just call this data. Wait, Supabase dot off dot get claims for now. And then we'll just console log this out. Actually, we'll just say here, user claims on landing page. So we'll save this. User claims on landing page, null. So there's no session, and there's no user currently here right now, which is true because we haven't even done any logging in or anything. So that's good. We will just comment this out for now because we don't need it yet. So we'll leave that. Okay, so we're there. So now what we can do is we can do the signing in. We'll hook this sign in up. Okay, so what we can do, the app is going to have two sign-in ways. So it's going to have OAuth, which is like a social media login, or like a social like third-party sign-in. So for our app, we're going to use Google and Microsoft. And then we're also going to give, it's called, well, basically your email address, but it's called Magic Link through Supabase, where instead of it having an email and password, we're going to have it so it's just an email address, and then when you want to sign in, it's going to email you a link that you have to click on to sign in. So it makes it more not only secure, but we can verify that the person has a valid email address and doesn't just give us a junk email, um, just to keep spam and abuse low, and just kind of weeds out any junk email and people just try to mess around with your app. It's like legitimate users basically. So yeah, so what we can do, I'll just go back to the examples, but oh, I didn't show this yet, but this is the dashboard for Supabase. So I've already made a project with Supabase. It takes 2 seconds just to make one. You can start this for free. I'm just using a free account right now. But you can run 2 projects at a time on the free tier. But basically, this gives you access. You have now database, authentication, storage, edge functions, and real-time capabilities right away now that we've connected Supabase up. So you have all of this now, like readily available. You got a full SQL database, full authentication, everything ready to go. Even cloud storage, everything. It's pretty sweet. But for right now, we just need authentication. And what we need to do is we're going to go to sign in providers. Um, for the only thing we need to change right now is this confirm email. So typically with email, when you get or when a user signs up for the first time, it's going to send them an email first to confirm that it's legit. But the way we're using magic links is it's going to send an email anyways. So we want to turn this off because if we leave that on and use a magic link, it's not going to send an email right away. It kind of gets confused and it's going to send the user a confirmation link first. And it's kind of counterproductive there because they're already getting a magic link anyway. So you'd basically want to keep this on if you're going to use a regular password system, but we're not. And it's going to be enabled here by default. Um, so we'll leave that on. Um, so these are all the different providers you can use. There's all sorts of things from Discord, GitHub, Google. There's like Facebook here, um, Twitter, Twitch. Um, yeah, you can use. But basically, for right now, the easiest one to really add for anybody is Google. That's the easiest thing to use. Um, it does take a little bit to set up, but it's pretty straightforward. And in every provider here that they have, if you open it and just click down here, there's documentation for every provider. And Supabase's documentation is really good. They have everything covered, so you can always just go to their docs and just read it, and it's pretty straightforward. They make it as simple and as easy to read as possible. But we're going to use Google. Um, you can follow along here, but basically what you need to do is go and make an application with Google, and it shows you what to add and everything. Um, but I'm just trying to see here. Um, yeah, this is pretty much the and see they changed this a little bit. Hmm. That wasn't there before, but it should still work anyways locally. I don't know. Well, we'll see anyways. But basically, you just need to go prerequisites. You just gotta follow, basically just follow what it says here. So I'm gonna open this into a new tab. I'm gonna make a new project. I'm gonna call it Tiny Chef. I'm gonna create it. So this is on Google's cloud. So I am going to just go under APIs and services. We need to go so basically you just go to credentials. It's going to complain about needing to do this consent. You just have to fill this in. Just wants to ask questions for the app. It just wants different. This is just for like compliance. That's basically all it's really doing. So that's done. So now we can just go back to, they tweaked this a little bit. It's a little different here now, but we go to clients, we create a client. Application is going to be a web application. We can leave that. Authorize JavaScript origins. I'm pretty sure we can leave this. I just put in the locations that are going to access this client. Already bought a domain, tinychef.app. So basically what's going to happen here is this callback URL. We need to copy that, and that's going to go into this, see this redirect? Oh wait, this is the Apple one, sorry. So we go under Google. So the callback is it's the same link anyways, but we just add this as an authorized redirect URL and then create. I'll just put in this. Okay. So that's done. And so we have the client ID it just gave us and a secret which it gave us. And then we can just leave the rest and hit save. So now Google authentication is done. There is one thing that it said on here. One extra thing. There's an extra setting it said it wanted us to add here. Or maybe data access. Yeah, this is different now. So we need to add this scope to it. This is just telling, well, just basically permissions that we're going to get from the user to access on their account. So it wants this, I guess it wants an open ID, which is, I guess, like a identifiable string or something to your account. That was different from before. I haven't had to do this before, but it said it wanted it. It wanted it, so it's like your open ID. See, it says add manually. This wasn't on there before. So it's going to get your profile, your email, which is already added. You don't have to add it. And that's it. Well, that's it for that. So we have to actually integrate it now into our app. So what it's saying here, it's saying to use your own application. Since this is custom, basically, we're using server-side rendering, so we can't use it this way. Well, it says here, say if you're using server-side rendering, see the auth guide for instructions on creating your Supabase client, which is that guide we did. So we've already done that. So we can access it by just calling this function now, basically. So it's saying for implicit flow, that's all you need to do. The user will be taken to the consent screen and then redirected to the app with an access and refresh token from Google saying that they're authorized, basically, and authenticated. But I know this sounds a little more complicated, but we're not doing it this way. We are doing it through this PKCE flow, which is done using server-side auth or server-side. There is an extra step we have to do because we don't just send them there and back. It's done through the server, which is more secure. So we have to Well, it depends which way you do it, but I'll show you how it's going to be done through this app. Basically, we will have to call this function instead of the first one. It's the same thing, it's just we're adding an option here to redirect it to a specific link after they're signed in. So instead of them just kicking them right back to the page that they were at before, we're going to have to redirect them to a link, a specific page, which is going to be this code down here. But we're going to take this, we're going to go to our sign in form. And right now what's happening, I'll show you here. So if you hit F12, this will give you the a development tools page. And so what we can do right now, the code, every time we click on a button, see it says signing in with Google. So there's placeholder text here, and same thing with Microsoft. But what we need to do is we are going to go back to the code first. And so right here, this is the code right here that's running every time we click that button. And it's for either provider. So they call the OAuth a provider. Um, we can technically we can tweak this a little bit, but we don't have to get too strict yet. But right now it's just taking any string as a provider. We can change this so it's actually just going to take an actual provider from Supabase, so it gets really specific. So right now, like see here, right now it says every time this button's clicked, it's going to run that, and it's passing in Google. For this one, it's going to pass in Microsoft. So that's why it's saying here, signing in with Google and Microsoft. But we can go a little further because right now I can put in anything. Like I could just put in gibberish and it's going to work. But obviously there's no gibberish provider, and this can lead to screw ups and broken code, even though there's no errors. So what we can technically do here is we can add this, we can add a dependency. I'll show you. Under the Supabase JS package, there are provider. I'll import type because we're not actually importing the actual provider itself. We just want the list of all their providers, and you can see up on the top. It's going to have all the providers here, and then instead of it just being a string, we can now just pop in provider. And now, see, now there's errors because these providers don't exist. So now if we go in here, now we've got a full list of all the providers, which now keeps it type safe. This is TypeScript at its finest. Might as well take advantage of it. So now we can go Google, no error. And then for Microsoft, it's technically Azure or Azure. I call it Azure, but that's Microsoft. That's their system that they call their backend is Azure. So now we can save that again. If we click it, now it's Google with an undercase. The providers are undercase, but now this is type safe. We know this isn't going to screw up now. The code is like solid. So we're set with that. So what we can do, we'll go back to that code here. So we'll just refresh or copy this and add this down here. So right now, it's complaining right now because it cannot find Supabase and it's not an async function. So all we need to do is just add async to the function. It's a, what I shouldn't have to, well, I'm not going to explain the format of this, but it's basically just a constant passing a function um, or returning a function, an async function now. But since this is a client component, we can't use the server Supabase. We would need the client Supabase. So there's two ways of doing it. We can just up here add a const Supabase equals Supabase client. That's one way of doing it. That's if we're going to access it a bunch of times in here. We're not. So the other thing we can do is just delete that. I'll delete this just to show what it would look like. But in here, we can just go Supabase client. Make sure you're getting it from the actual lib, not the Supabase package. So go Supabase client, and then you just need to add parentheses to make it a function, and there you go. So technically now what's going to happen is it's going to, if we just leave it the way it is right now, we can let that stop freaking out. I've actually found there's a bug with something. I don't know if it's because I'm using good old Edge, but whenever this development panel is open, it starts trying to access a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't exist on the server. Like it's like trying to see, I don't know, scanning it or something. So if you see all this junk, you can ignore it. It's not going to do anything, especially when it's live and everything. That's not going to happen. So we'll save this. So right now, if we click on continue with Microsoft as an example, we're see it actually tried to go somewhere, but it's saying an error, saying unsupported provider is not enabled. So that's actually a good error. Like that's expected because we don't have Azure set up here. It's disabled. So that's good. So what we can do if we technically hit Google, um, it will go, but it's not going to work still because we didn't complete the rest of the code. So we didn't finish this, but what's going to happen, I'll show you if we hit, actually we have to close this. So if you hit Google, it's actually going to sign in. We can go sign in. It's going to ask for info. See, and then it technically kind of worked, but it didn't. So if you can see here, it basically went back to the main page and there's now a code added. So as far as Google's concerned, you're signed in and it worked. But on the app side, it's broken. And there's no error or anything because it basically worked as it should. But it didn't really sign you in. Because it didn't actually, this code didn't do anything. So we just have to continue with the doc here. So what we need to do, two things first. So it wants to redirect back to, it's just using example.com, but this will be our site /auth/callback. So we have to make a new route, and instead of it being a normal page, it's going to be an actual route.ts, so an API route this time. It's not a typical page, so it's going to be basically an API route, which is just going to have a get route on it. And basically it's going to take that code here that we just saw on the page. So it's going to take this UUID code and then it's going to pass it back to Supabase and say, hey, here's a code I got. And then it's going to use that code and authorize you on the Supabase end and then set up the cookies and set up the session and everything and then sign you in properly. So we need to take this code, this chunk of code, and we're going to add it to auth-callback/route. So we're just going to go back to app. I'm going to make an auth callback and then route.ts. Paste it. And then since this is using that create client example, we're just going to delete that line. We're going to take this create client out and call it Supabase server. That's it. That's all we're changing. And then leave everything else the way it is. We'll save it. And then the last thing we have to do is in the, just close this a little bit, in the local, and then in your environments folder, we have to make a new variable. I'm going to call it next public URL. And we're just, for now, because this is the development side, we're just going to make it the localhost address. So just http dash or colon slash slash localhost colon 3000. Save it, close it. We'll close this. And so what we can do now, instead of example.com, is we will pass it a variable process.env.next public URL. Save it. And we'll see down here. So now, technically, so there's two things here. We'll go sign in. We'll go back to Google. We'll sign in. So now see, it basically did the same thing, but there's no code anymore. So what it actually did, and if you look here, without all this junk, is right here, you see it actually went to that auth callback and it sent the code to that route. And you can see instead of it giving an error or even saying it was successful, it's saying, hey, okay, we actually redirected that person and they went back to the main route and it's good. So it actually did something and it did what it's supposed to do. It actually logged the user in. So now technically, if we go back to this page here and we uncomment that line out or those lines, if I save this now, look, there's actually data here now. User claims. So there's actually seeing authenticated. So it actually now has a user signed in, so now the authentication works technically. But now what we want to do is we don't want the user to just sign in and then just go back to the landing page. So one easy thing we can do is we can just comment this out again because we don't need it. We can just go back to the sign-in component or sign-in form. And here, the easiest way to do it is to the redirect link. There is another argument that you can pass, and you just do it by adding a question mark. And we just add next / dashboard. So what that's going to do, it's in the code here. I'll show you. So in that callback code, it's already checking for this in addition to the code. So it's going to pass in now a code and a next parameter. And by default, it's just going to send you back to the landing page, which is what it's doing now. But we're going to pass it now an actual route to send it to. So now, if we save this, we can just technically go and sign back in because we're not checking now if the user signed in or not. So we're still going to be able to sign in again, even though we're signed in. But now if I click this, look, we're actually in the dashboard now instead. So this just keeps the UX proper, which we just want this to happen instead. So that's signing in. So we now already have one provider set up. So that's it for that. Once you do that a few times, it gets pretty easy. You don't really have to think about it. It's just there. like I said, it should just take minutes to add. It's really quick, and you don't even have to think about it anymore, and it's as secure as can be. Um, it's all server side, and um, it works really well. It follows Google's security, everything, so you can rely on it. Um, so that's that. So now I just want to make sure everything's running well still. Yep. Sweet. Okay. So now what we can do is we'll just make it a little better on our side. So we have the dashboard. Um, so technically what we'll need to do, we have to change this a little bit because I actually am not a huge fan of how V0 did this because it's putting this, it's doing the whole layout as a client component. And for myself, I try not to um, have layouts in that as a client component. I try to make client components as far down the chain as I can. Just it's just preference really, but it just helps um, in ways that I like need to use it. So, like for example, right now I can do it with the sign in. So the sign in page right now is a server component, or it's rendered on the server. So what we can do here, the sign in form is a client component, but what we can do now is we can go const supabase equals await supabase server, make this async const. It already knows what I'm trying to do here. So we get the claims. So we're just going to do the same thing here. So we're going to go to the sign in page now. There is a user signed in, and we can see um, so there's a claims object. This sub is the user ID. So what we can do here is we'll just say if data dot claims dot sub. So if there is a sub value there, we can redirect, and we need this next dash navigation function. We will redirect to, let me just go to there. We will redirect to dashboard. Done. So now we go to sign in, and it just completely skipped the sign in, the login page, and it went straight to the dashboard because we're signed in. So that's working now. So we'll just try it again. So right away, sign in. You see the blank there. It was thinking if it should load it. It didn't, and it just went redirected to the dashboard. So that's that part. Um, okay, so that's it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to break this video up into sections. That's basically getting an X project started, adding Supabase, adding a landing page, and adding authentication. So after this now, I'm going to go and add the database, hook up basically the AI SDK, the Vercel AI SDK, and get the functionality working, and then We can actually work with adding payments, and I'll even add Stripe in, and we can start taking payments for people to use it and if they want to pay for it. And then that's pretty much the whole application there. So I will take a break and you can watch the next video after this. I'll put this live recording as a video, and we'll see you on the next video. See ya.